Hello, and welcome to the My Heart and Mind podcast, where it's all about creating the feel-good mindset so you can make the most of every moment and reap the benefits of getting the most happiness out of life. And now, over to your host, Sally Crawley.
My show is for you if you've had a heart attack, heart surgery, a cardiac arrest, or your life has been impacted by a cardiac diagnosis. It's all about mastering your thoughts and feelings and emotions so you can feel great and live a life that you love despite your diagnosis. Thank you so much for joining me today. Just before we get into the show though, please be aware that my work is not intended to replace conventional medicine. It is complementary. If you have any concerns about your health or your heart, then do seek medical expert advice immediately. Happy day and good to have you with me. Today I'm going to be talking to Johnston. He's a survivor of a widowmaker heart attack and a cardiac arrest. The cardiac arrest caused him to be without oxygen for 20 minutes, technically dead. He's also an author of 2 books and a sports website owner too. Today he talks to me about his life before his event and how he died but miraculously survived. He shares with me how he pieced together what had happened with the help of his family and friends because he couldn't remember anything. Along with this, he got the realisation that he was not the only person that was affected. It really did impact on the people that he cared about the most. Due to the oxygen deprivation, John now lives with a traumatic brain injury, and yet, during his recovery, he's still penned 2 books to help himself and others with their own recovery. We talk about how John lives his life happy and has ambitions for the future, despite the change to his life, health, and the knowledge that he'll never be the same person he once was. And he shares some content with us, some of his tried and tested activities that have helped him and will help you too. So let's just get on with the show then. Welcome, John. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us. I'd like to introduce you to people. Primarily, I'd like you to tell them about your life before your heart attack.
That would be the assumption I remember it.
Well,
because
yeah.
it was a kingdom long time ago, far away. My life before my heart attack.
You're a healthy living guy.
I'd say I tried to stay active. I probably drank too much, but that's probably about 80% of the population. But I'm an IT professional, but I'm also in my side gigs because we all have those. I'm involved in reporting on college sports. So I've been on a lot of college football sidelines. I've been to a lot of college football events, and all of that stuff requires that you're mobile and you're able to move around and do stuff. I was a scout leader for 17 years, and I taught wilderness survival. I taught outdoor activities. I taught first aid to scouts, stuff like that. I was a soccer coach, a youth soccer coach for a decade. So, I tried to stay very active, and my wife is a very beautiful woman, very healthy. Always ate a healthy diet because she's pretty insistent on that, and she's run marathons and things like that in the past. So, when your spouse has that, you're encouraged to stay with them because, I like doing things with her. But here's the thing about it. Being a scout leader required that I get a yearly physical, especially because I was doing outdoor stuff, and it's for insurance purposes.
Yeah.
Okay, so my heart attack was due to cholesterol. A piece of plaque broke loose and got into my widowmaker a lad artery and blocked it 100% or whatever, and then I died. And I went back later.
Yeah, were you surprised by the fact that you, of all people, would have a heart attack given your lifestyle? Or did you know that the drinking might have been a bit of a bridge too far, or,
No, the heart attack never occurred to me.
Well,
I mean, I was 54. It was 7 years ago, August 2015. Cancer runs through my family. My father died when he was 54 of pancreatic cancer. And I was terrified of being 54 because I thought, well, I'm going to die of cancer. So heart attacks never A year and a half after he died, my grandmother died of skin cancer. My brother Jerome passed away last winter from liver or colon cancer. Cancer is all through my family. Nobody has heart attacks.
Oh.
So the whole idea that even now I'm sitting here talking to you, the whole idea that I died of a heart attack was, it's still kind of like I'm in this life. I got zapped in here by some kind of weird cosmic thing, and I'm like trying to figure out who I am and going forward. The nice thing about it is I have a very beautiful woman for a wife, and I have three interesting kids. We'll say that that are adults now.
Oh. Okay, so you've mentioned that you kind of died from a heart attack. I didn't die from mine. I was kind of conscious all the way through it. So tell me the story about what happened and how come you died and what was that like? I mean, do you remember any of it?
No, I don't. I was at August 21st, 2015. I was at a customer site, and I had what I thought was really bad heartburn, which was puzzling because I like spicy foods. I used to eat the hottest peppers possible, and it never really bothered me that much. And here I am with this heartburn, and I'd done the thing where you I don't know if you do this in the UK, but you have the Pepto-Bismol bottle, you drink it out of the bottle when nobody's around and they don't see you and go, yeah, that's disgusting. But none of that was working. I was at a customer site. I felt terrible. The last thing I remember is I took my glasses off and I laid them down on the table, and that was it. And my coworker said that I yelled, "Oh God," and I collapsed back in the chair, and then I was dead for 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah, paramedics arrived and they shocked me 5 times on the way to the hospital, and it's always hard to talk about.
That's all right. Take your time.
They shocked me 5 times on the way to the hospital with no response. 2 more times in the ER and brought me back. And then they placed a stent in my heart. And, my wife got the "he's in God's hands" speech. And my kids were told to come. And, I probably wouldn't make it through the night. And then I'm still here, I guess, because I'm just too much of a bastard to die.
Well, I'm really glad that is the case. So good on you for that and fighting back. So did everybody fill you in with the stories afterwards?
Well, I wanted to know. I don't. The problem is I don't really have a lot of memory of like that entire fall is pretty foggy. So honestly, I wrote a book about it. Been dead, never been to Europe. And I wanted to go back and find out what happened. And it literally took me 1.5 to 2 years to actually ask and have, my coworker, because my coworkers were traumatized by this too.
Absolutely.
The first time I went back to work, one time I touched my hand to my chest. And my coworker, Bill, the terror in his eyes just startled me because he looked at me and he goes, "What's going on?" And he was afraid that I was having another heart attack. And it was that moment that I realized that, this trauma is not just you, it's everybody around you. So it took quite a while for me to go back and put all the pieces together of what happened and what I went through,
Writing the book that you mentioned, did you find that quite therapeutic?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I cried every time I wrote it. I cried every time I talk about it. I cried every time I edited. It was, when I was done with it, I was really glad to be done with it. I wrote it because I needed to put, like, this is what happened and now just move on. I needed to, like, this is the story. And, if people ask me, I go buy my book. Stop asking me questions. But I don't know if it was therapeutic. I guess from a certain standpoint, I understood what happened to me and what everybody else went through. And I think it helped me understand. It helped me understand what helped me get through it. Because the book isn't just about, I died on the floor. It was about all of the steps that I had to take, like going to cardiac rehab and realizing it took me 2 years to realize that going to cardiac rehab really helped me with confidence that my heart wasn't going to kill me again.
I think that's one of the big things about cardiac rehab. It is
Yeah.
about building the confidence and the trust, because I lost a lot of trust in myself and my body. I'd never felt that before. So, yeah. And it's not often talked about from that point of view, but yeah, it's so.
I ended up with a brain injury. The timeline goes August 2015, I died for a while. January 2016, I got a second stent. And in May, June 2016, I was diagnosed with an anoxic brain injury, which is, it's been hell to live with. It's not, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemies, but
And
I think one of the,
because you were down for so long,
yeah,
20 minutes, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So do you want talking about that and how that affects your life?
Yeah, because I think, for talking to, I probably like you, I talk to a lot of other heart attack survivors, and I think that a lot more of them end up with brain injuries than they realize. I mean, for me, it was memories, or just, it took me, so much of this stuff is about time, When I was first going back, I tried to go back to work as soon as possible, and I kind of did. In fact, there's one weird thing I'll tell you as an IT person. 6 months after I got, I was working, one of my coworkers said to me something about I was VMware certified. Okay, VMware is a very complex piece of software. Yeah. And I looked at her and I said, I'm not VMware certified. She goes, yeah, you got VMware certified after you got out of the hospital. Okay, that means I passed a test that's an extremely complex test. I don't remember any of that. I don't remember doing it. So there was a lot of stuff through that fall that I had no knowledge of. I was just doing things, and I really don't remember any of them. The funniest thing about the brain injury is I hate peanut butter.
Right. Okay. Did you hate peanut butter before and now?
No. Who could hate Reese's peanut butter cups? My wife said I came out of the coma they put me in, saved my brain function. They extubated me, and they came to me and they said, you can eat now. What do you want to eat? My wife said, I replied, I hate peanut butter. Don't bring me any peanut butter. And she said, I said this to them every time they came to me after that and asked me what I wanted to eat. For I was in the hospital for 10 days, I think it was. And to this day, I hate peanut butter, and I have no explanation for that. It's just disgusting to me.
I had taste challenge after mine. I'm a coffee fan. I love proper brewed strong black coffee. But directly after, and probably for about 6 months after, I couldn't drink coffee. I had to almost force myself to drink it because I was like, no, that's my signature drink. I'm not going to give that up. And now I drink it like I did before. But other people have mentioned that they have a change of taste as well about some. So that's quite interesting. So did you have to make many lifestyle changes? Or, you were already living for, pretty much a good life.
Well, part of my heart is dead because it was blocked for so long. So I have an EF of 39. Everybody that's a heart attack person knows what EF is, ejection fraction. And, the brain injury, I have chronic pain. I have headaches every day. Learning how to live with that. If I'm honest with myself, and I hate to admit this publicly, I can't really do math anymore. And that comes important in a lot of ways in IT, and I kind of struggle through it. Fatigue is probably the biggest issue, because when you have a brain injury or the heart, I mean, the fact is the part of the heart is dead, and you have to work harder to do what other normal people just can do. So, I've done 5K walks. I can't run, but I've done 10K walks, stuff like that. But all of those things are completely exhausting. And then neurofatigue is something that brain injury people get, where your brain gets injured, and literally everything you do takes much more effort than it used to. So here's the thing. I died, and I was dead for a while, and I shouldn't be here. And every doctor I meet with looks at me and goes, you shouldn't even be here. What the hell? What are you complaining about? When I complain to them about stuff, that's their response. But I looked at it and I said, I'm not I'm not stopping here. There's still things I want to accomplish. I mentioned my wife. I want to do stuff with my wife. I've never been to Europe. I still want to go to Europe.
Ah,
Right? I want to. I've written the 2 books. I'd like to write a novel someday. A book, not just write a novel, but a novel that people would want to read.
yeah.
I still do the sports thing. I have a lot of fun with that. I wanted to keep my life as much as I could.
Absolutely.
And at that point, I said to myself, I don't care what it is. I'm going to try it and learn it. And,
Why not?
that's why I taught myself how to meditate to control the headaches and the
Right.
fatigue. I think journaling has been an enormous help, I think, to me. But that's something that people just, you tell them that, maybe you should journal, and they look at you like, what are you, some kind of weirdo? Especially men, because when you say journaling, it's like saying keeping a diary. And then we all get this, if you're older, you get this mental image of a teenage girl writing some little, class notebook. And you're like, no, it's journaling. It's you examine yourself and you write it down and it gets out of you.
Yeah.
It's like pooping on paper.
Oh, I like that. Pooping on paper. I'm going to use that in the future because
There you go.
I recommend journaling as part of coming to acceptance that actually you've been through an event, or whether it be the surgery, cardiac arrest, etc. And like you, I get a lot of people kind of giving me that look. And it's like, it seems a little bit too woo-woo for them sometimes as well. So, well, definitely journaling helps. It really does.
There was a moment. I mean, there were critical moments in my recovery, both of the heart and the brain. But one of my most critical moments, I think, for me was from August to January until I was diagnosed with a brain injury. I would have very severe headaches where I'd have to lay in a dark room all day and, do nothing. And doing nothing to me is, I might as well be dead for good, not just a while. But one morning I woke up and I thought, along with the thing that realizing everybody else is traumatized too, I thought everybody else doesn't need to be torn apart because I feel like crap. I'm just going to choose to be happy. And that may be a lie because every day you can't just get up and go, I'm happy. You'd like that? But if you have the mentality and just tell yourself, I don't really care what I've been through. I can choose to be happy. I can choose to not ruin my wife's day by screaming at her, or not be bad to not scream at my children because I feel like hell. And I just decided one morning, I'm not doing this anymore because I can't do it to them. And that was probably a big key for just changing the mindset I had of saying, I'm going to go on. I'm going to have a life. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to do whatever I can to get wherever I want to go. And I'm not done yet. And I'm going to make the most of this. So just an attitude change and just saying to yourself, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself anymore. And I'm not doing that to myself. I'm not doing that to people I love either. So April 2020, I quit drinking because I needed to quit drinking. And that was another big decision. That was just like, I don't, my family doesn't deserve this. My friends don't deserve this. And my coworkers don't deserve this. So that was another big thing that I just decided I'd had enough of. And
yeah, I think it's lovely that you really took into account the people that were around you and the people that loved you, because so often we forget that we have control in some way, I think, because it's happening to us. And we forget that the people around us, they have no control. They can't read our minds. They don't know.
Right.
And it's scary for them and they feel vulnerable in that. So hats off to you for that. I can hear how much you love your friends, your family, and particularly your wife. She sounds lovely by the sounds of it, things. But you went on and wrote another book, Manage Your Damage. And Manage Your Damage, when I was flicking through it struck me as it was very much a toolkit for people. You told your story and you also talked about the struggles. And when I was looking through the struggles, They are a lot that all people that have had a cardiac event, a heart attack, have been through. And each and every one of us, I'm sure, feels that it's only
Right.
us that feels that way. And that's why I think that, your book is really, really good. And I just wondered if you'd share with everybody, tell us about your book, because I know you've got some strategies that you've used in the second part of the book. So let's sing your praises about what you've hoped to have achieved with this book.
Let me put it this way. When you buy a new car, you suddenly start seeing that same car all over the place, right?
Yep.
Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah.
Okay. When you have a heart attack and you start, for me, I work with a lot of sports people and I work with a lot of stuff, and I've done the interviews, podcasts, things like that. And when I started telling people, I had a heart attack, all of a sudden, people all over the place, they're telling me about their heart attack stories. And I thought, and then I'd start asking them, well, what did you struggle with? And I started discovering, my God, we're all doing the same stuff, and and nobody tells us about this, Nobody says out there, by the way, the emotional fallout from this is going to be much worse than the actual event itself. So I thought, I thought I'd write a book about it because I guess I could. And again, like the Been Dead, Never Been to Europe, it allowed me to look at what I'd been through, put it down, and then put down what I went through to try the best job to recover, and then put it out there, hopefully so it helped other people. And I had a number of other heart attack survivors review it, and draft to make sure I wasn't causing harm. That was probably the biggest thing about the book. Does this help you? Does this make sense to you? Is there any points in this of which you feel like could cause harm to anybody? So, the whole manage your damage thing, I've thought about writing more extensions to that, just because I think some of it can be explored even further. Like the meditation part. Even the meditation for me, right? All my life, whenever somebody said, yeah, you should learn how to meditate, I always pictured some guru type guy sitting in lotus formation and, doing a mantra. And really what it is it's just learning how to calm your mind and breathing, focusing on your breathing to help you calm your mind. And for me, what it does is it puts me to sleep in 5 minutes. And I believe the advanced form of meditation, it's just taking a nap, which everybody should take more naps.
Yes, sleep is good for healing as well. So,
and then we both mentioned the journaling. I think the journaling part it's much bigger than people. They do think it's just kind of goofy. And then there's just weird things. Like after my heart attack, we completely cut salt out of our diets. It was terrible. Everything was terrible. We go to a favorite restaurant that was an upscale restaurant, and everything tasted like salt. And you don't realize how long it takes to have your taste buds adjust. And then I go back to my doctor and I tell him, I hate this. And he goes, you don't need to cut salt out of your diet. You're not that kind of guy. So, we still eat a low salt diet, but just having a book or something that tells other people, you know what, you're not alone in this. A lot of us has gone through this, and here's something you can read. You don't have to tell anybody you're reading the book. You can just read it on your own and realize that you're not alone. And I think that's a big thing. Recently a friend of mine, I had heart issues, and I asked him how he was doing, and he really blew me off. And I'm like, okay, you're in denial, or you're okay. I don't know. But, if somebody wants to just buy it and read it on their own and realize I'm not alone, other people go through this stuff. Here's some techniques you can use. That's why I think people are, years ago, the Pink Floyd song, there's a Pink Floyd song with the line in it, hanging on in quiet desperation is the English way.
I can't think what that was called, but that's...
It's Dark Side of the Moon. It was.
Yes.
And I'd never forgotten that line. And that's true for so many people, is we don't tell anybody about our problems because I think, number one, it's embarrassing. For example, when I say I can't do math anymore, it's embarrassing. I had a math major out of college. I used to be able to, I studied linear algebra, for crying out loud. Well, I I can't look at a scatter plot without my brain going into headache mode within 10 minutes, and I have to lie down. So, stuff like that, it is embarrassing, some of the stuff you get to go through. Or, the fact that I might be at a family event, and I just tell people I have to go lay down for 10 minutes and meditate so that, brain injury people have a lot of problems with sensory, just too much overload, and you have to get away from stuff. And I did think about writing a book about manage your damage for brain injury survivors, but brain injury covers such a vast, huge area that book would be extremely difficult to write and have it actually provide any help for people, because brain injuries can be very specific. I'm learning more about brain injuries as I go on too. But I don't know what else is in there.
Well, I think people are going to have to buy the book to find out, really.
Yeah, there you go.
So thank you for sharing everything that you have with us today. Where can people buy the book, find out more about you?
It's on Amazon. I mean, Manage Your Damage. Been Dead is exclusive. Been Dead, Never Been to Europe is exclusive to Amazon because I don't know how to really market very well. Manage Your Damage can be, it's all over the place. It's at Amazon. It's at Kobo. I think there's some bookstores in the UK I made sure it was into. But it's through a distributor that distributes to a lot of bookstores. You can go to johnjohnston.com, which is hard to spell because my parents were cruel. And you can go to manageyourdamage.com, which redirects to johnjohnston.com, because manageyourdamage.com is not as hard to spell as johnjohnston.com.
You're so right there, but I will make sure that people can access it. I'll put some links into the show notes, etc. So I just wondered, is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up for today?
I think I guess the brain injury part is probably where I'm headed now. The brain injury part, I looked at I love my cardiologist. I think he's not just my cardiologist anymore. He's kind of a friend of mine. And I think that all the doctors that I worked with did a very, very, very good job. For all the stuff that people complain about healthcare in the U.S., I think I had exceptional doctors. Now, on the other hand, I didn't just look at him and ask him a question and let it go. I kind of made him explain everything. I made them explain why I'm taking these medicines. I made them, you know what I mean? You have to be an advocate for yourself. I will say this. My brain injury in the last 6 months has decided to take over my life again. Headaches have increased. Fatigue has been terrible. My balance has been bad enough that I don't know if I'll ever shoot the photography stuff again. And I'm working with doctors. And one of the people I'm working with is now come up with the first ever FDA approved device to detect concussions. Okay. And it's called the iBox, and it's brand new. And when I talk to the people that have invented it, I realized that it's going to have, that sounds like a wonderful thing because there isn't a lot of stuff out there for brain injury. I mean, there are what troponin is, right?
Yes.
It's
Can you just explain
biomarker
for our listeners what troponin is in case they're not sure?
Troponin is a biomarker. And what that means is this. If you go to the hospital and you think you're having a heart attack, they can take your blood and check for troponin, which is an enzyme or a protein. I'm not that good at that, but I know this. What it means is that they can detect that you're having a heart attack without having to do things to you, like cut your chest open or, stick a catheter in you or whatever else. It's not invasive, and it's a biomarker that says, yes, this person has this problem. Very not invasive. Okay. For the iBox, again, this is a non-invasive advice. You look at it and you follow a little 2.5-inch movie around a screen, and it does eye tracking. And if your eyes don't track together, they measure that, and they can determine, yes, you have a brain injury. So it took months for my cardiologist, whom I love, to refer me to the TBI people. And when I asked him later, why did it take so long? He said, because you don't live. People like you don't live. And it's rare that people in your situation live. So we don't have you as examples.
Yes.
And I think because our EMS, emergency services, are increasing. Awareness is increasing. Things like portable devices like AEDs, I don't know if you have those in the UK, the portable defibrillators, those things are, more people will live. And because of that, you're probably going to see an increased number of people dealing with traumatic brain injury. And over on that side of the fence, there's no biomarkers. And the brain injury people, even in research, are way back. I mean, the knowledge of the brain is very, very limited compared to what it is in the heart. So, the brain injury part is, for me, is going to be learning more about that and how can we help the brain injury people understand where they're going and what they're doing.
Well, that's brilliant. And that piece of kit sounds really quite amazing, because if there was nothing to start with, and then there is that, we're one step closer, aren't we? And, every step gets you there in the end. So thank you very much, John. It's been absolutely tremendous speaking to you. Thank you.
Well, you're easy. You're a pretty wonderful person.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for listening today. It means a lot to me. I hope you got at least one takeaway from this episode. And if you're interested, you can find the show notes and any links that I've mentioned on my website. It's www.myheartandmind.co.uk/podcast. And finally, I just want to remind you, you are loved more than you will ever know. You are admired by more people than you'd ever expect. And you are worthy of joy and happiness.
You've been listening to Sally Crawley and the My Heart and Mind podcast, a show for you if you've had a heart attack, cardiac event, or other life-changing experience and want to feel good. It's all about mastering your feelings and emotions so you can feel great and live the life you love. To find out more, visit www.myheartandmind.co.uk and note that that's an AND and not the ampersand character. Go be magnificent.